If you didn't catch last Monday's Gem Discovery show at noon, it's one that you want to go back and check out. It's a little bit longer than usual, but it's highly informative because it's not often that you can have a gem cutter who's really just making his way in the gem and mineral world, mainly the gem world, but just making his own way and really kind of just doing things that are out of the norm. So it's something to really watch and look at because he cut us a old mine cut Xandrite, color change stone, ceramicized glass, and it's gorgeous. So definitely check that out if you haven't. He'll be coming back into the building at some point in August, so we're really excited to have him back, but it's coming up on August, so why don't we just get a little sneak preview of the August birthstone of Peridot. Now, Peridot is a wonderful stone, known as the evening emerald a lot of times because of that really nice bright color that comes off of it in low light situations. So with this one that we have in front of us, this is a 3 carat minimum, and the millimeter is going to vary. You can see that there's something inside of this stone. So it almost looks like a rutilated quartz, except it's black, so a tourmalinated quartz. It's not tourmaline crystals in it. What that is ludwigite. Now, ludwigite is a magnesium iron borate mineral. So it is its own classification of mineral. You'll never really see it. I don't think you'd really ever see it in a mineral form that you could buy a specimen of because it happens in big clusters a lot of times when it's found on its own. But we're lucky enough in this case that in Pakistan, it is grown inside of the peridot during formation. So you have a big terminated crystal. Terminated, I don't know. I'm telling you, this has been the craziest week so far. Or this last week was so crazy, it's wild. I'm intersecting everything just like the ludwigite inside this peridot. So they've kind of decided to fashion this peridot around these ludwigite pieces. I don't want to call them crystals or rods because it is almost like a silky submetallic type mineral. But the millimeter is going to vary a bit just because of them trying to get these crystals oriented. If you tried to calibrate something like this, you know, as you push it away for calibration, you're going to have one of those ludwigites break through the surface. It might cause some pitting that they can't polish out. So then they just have to fashion it the best way they can. But as it came into the building, we just weighed them out to say, okay, it's going to weigh at least 3 carats. And we made sure to do that since we can't get a calibrated size, which it could be on this one, I'm guessing like maybe an 8.5 to a 6.5. It could be a little bit bigger. That's just an eyeball guesstimate. But hey, Shane gave me a gauge. So I'll look at it and see what this one is, and we can kind of get an idea of what it is. Oh, this one's way bigger than I thought. Don't eyeball estimate stuff. This one's right around an 11 by 9. Actually, it's probably an 11 by 8. It looks narrow. Yep, 11 by just under 8. So this one is just a little bit narrow. But again, they're trying to keep that, and this is stuff that if you watch that Justin episode, they're just trying to keep that yield and trying to keep the weight and maximize everything. I brought in a fancy little ring holder, so you can see what it would look like as a ring instead of me holding tweezers on my hand for effect. So very beautiful. These are such a great thing that you can display a stone and see what it would look like set in a ring and how it would look on your hand, but not actually having to set it. It's kind of a little squeeze tweeze type thing that you can kind of just show off. Easy to hold, easy to mount, and easy to put in and out without breaking, damaging, or mounting a stone. But I will also hold it in the tweezer because it's easy to rock back and forth. It's natural for Tom to do this one. So this is very nice. I like all this ludwigite and peridot because you'll have some that have higher concentrations of needles, smaller concentrations of needles, and for just under $100, it might not be the exact one that you see here. It might not be the exact one you want. You might want one that's more sporadic, that doesn't have a large concentration of needle, and that's what you'll get. But thankfully, we do have a good return policy, so that's something that you can consider if that is the case. What's that, Shane? That is a good suggestion. You can buy more than one and just return the one you don't want, because you might want to give one to a friend. You might know multiple people that have August August birthdays, and you can give them a nice little gift of their birthstone. Or you could just be a collector that likes locales and different inclusions that go through. I'm definitely an inclusion collector myself, so they are beautiful. So here's another peridot that we have, and this one is a round. This one's a 3.75 carat minimum, and the cut that's on here, which is really pretty, you're going to see it. I'll just turn it around so we don't have to wait for it. But this cut is called an emanating star cut. So I'll give you a face-up view of it here in a second in my tweezers, so you can just kind of see what it is that makes this cut so special, because all cuts are just to enhance the stone. You don't ever want something that's going to dull the stone out. I'll keep referencing back to the Justin Prim show that we did, because he really gives you an insight into how a stone is cut, why it's cut that way, and why you will see cuts typically on certain stones. And sometimes you'll never see a cut on a certain stone, like a round brilliant and an emerald. You just never see it because there's no point. It's a low RI stone. It's not going to give anything. So peridot is a stone that's doubly refractive, kind of has a higher RI. It's close to the 1.7s at the high point. And it has pretty strong, you know, what's the word I'm thinking of, Shane? Birefringence. So you'll see some doubling in it naturally. So it gives that nice pleochroic green to like yellow color. And you really want to highlight that in these stones. And this is one that will absolutely do that, like, because it's cut so well, the way that cut is, because you're seeing strong flashes of yellow, but with that green body tone. And it just absolutely gorgeous stone. And the cut is what really does it justice, because the way all those crown facets are cut, and I'll try to, you know, tilt it a little bit so you can see the light reflecting off of it, but it's those crown facets that are really returning all of that light. And this one is, you know, a little bit of a bigger price than the last one, just because it's a bigger stone. It has a lot more dark green color, where the Pakistani Ludwigite, it was almost like an olivine. It had a grayish tone to it and a little bit of blue in it, where this peridot is the traditional green, this Chinese peridot. And that cut, just really world-class cut on this. And I'm going to tilt it just a little bit, Shane, to see if we can get that light on there. Well, I might just put it on the turntable and shut it off, because you might be able to zoom in and see it. It's the way the crown facets are oriented that's what's giving it that reflection, and the way that light scatters as it comes out. It really is something to just see. I'll actually turn the turntable on, because as those lights, the overhead lights, reflect off of it, you'll really kind of see that cut working and in action. So it's almost like a long or a wide triangle that comes together on this emanating star. And I'll also show it from the back, like with a table down kind of look, because you can really see how that color is concentrated and more bolder in those crown facets. And it's something that cuts really do affect color so much. And like I said, when I say that the price is a little bit different, the first one I showed was $90 for 3 carats. This is just under 4 carats, but it's $190. No, sorry, I'm looking at the next one. $150. Just because of the color, the size, it's calibrated, it's easier to fit right into a setting. And there is one thing that I'll talk about here in a second, because you can see it when it's on the turntable. You can see how that color is kind of concentrated there along those crown facets. And I'll even put it behind white, because it's easier to see on this table down look. But it's very important when you're buying a loose stone, especially if you're holding it, is to look at it from all angles, because it's really important to see how it looks from all sides, because you can kind of see things that a table up view might not show you. You know, take it out of the jar, drop it on the ground. It's just some things that you have to do, because you want to know durability of a stone. Is this stone going to hold up when I drop it on the ground? And Tom Joyce just did. So why don't I take a little vacation real quick and grab this stone? And with the magic of television, It's back in my tweezers. What just happened? Are we that good or are we that good? So as I said, jokingly, do not drop a stone on the ground if you're ever out at a trade show, you know, your local gem and mineral show. Don't drop the stone on the ground. It's not ideal, but sometimes that does happen. And the stone is completely fine. I'm not telling you to drop your stones. I've got a magic touch. These tweezers have a safety feature built into them, and they're grooved. But I've handled thousands upon thousands upon thousands of gemstones. I still drop them all the time, every day. So if you drop a stone, don't feel bad. Just don't hold on too tight because they will shoot out. You might damage your stone. I look at holding tweezers a lot like eating sushi or, you know, using chopsticks. It's more of a light tension thing. If you're really good with, you know, chopsticks, you'll be really good with tweezers, I promise. So you may have noticed that there's a little black speck inside of this stone when it goes on the turntable. Not a problem. All that is a chromite inclusion. It's indicative of knowing you have a natural peridot, which you won't see too much synthetic peridot on the market. If you see someone saying you have a synthetic peridot, you actually have a simulant. So I know that everyone who watches these shows is very well educated on gems and minerals, but I love to give the description, and I feel like I have to give the description. A synthetic has all the same chemical properties of the stone that it's replicating. So a synthetic ruby has all the same chemical properties. It was just grown in a lab, not in nature. A simulant is anything. It could be glass or plastic. I mean, really, a peridot could be a simulant for demantoid garnet, or, you know, you can use a natural stone as a simulant, but why would you? But typically, it's going to be CZ, glass, plastic, resin, triplets sometimes. So you really have to differentiate between simulant and synthetic, especially out in the market, because you just never know what someone's trying to do to you. So it's really important to look at as many stones as you can, as many minerals as you can, because if something seems hinky or just a little bit off, it probably is. And sometimes, if it's cheap enough, buy it to be right. You have a good example of something later on. Sorry about that. But just use due diligence with what you know and all your like confirmation kind of visible things to say, this doesn't seem right. Because usually it's not. So with that, you know you do have a natural stone because you see that little black chromite inclusion in there. And then peridot by itself, and it's an identifying feature of a peridot when you're looking at a green stone and everything's lining up. You look for a little inclusion, and it's called a lily pad because that's what it looks like. And it's something that as you rock it back and forth, you can see it. And right when you see that, you're like, okay, I've got a peridot here. I don't really have green sapphire. The RI is too high. I'm seeing doubling in a little bit. Can't be a zircon because I got an RI, and I'm making myself fall asleep with gemology talk. I had some peridot at one point in my own collection that had eye-visible lily pads in it. They were almost iridescent, and they were gorgeous. And it was just something that it gave a different look to the stone because a lot of people like iridescent flashes inside of quartz, which is just a partially healed fracture that's reflecting light. But it's pretty, it catches the eye. Who doesn't want to see a rainbow effect inside of a stone that is natural to that stone? It gives it a little bit of a l'air de panache, as I like to say. So the next stone is gonna be a small one. It really is, and it's gonna be hard to see. And it drives a really high price. This one is just under $200. But there's a reason for it. There's a reason that it commands such a high price. And that's because it comes from space. Ooh, it comes from space. So what this is palissitic peridot. And typically where you would find this is inside of a meteorite. And you'll see some of those, you've seen famous pictures of the guy out in the desert holding a big slab of meteorite over his head, and it's backlit behind him. Hey, big star just walked in. Rita just walked into the studio. So I'm a little bit nervous about it. I think she's about to come out here. Yes, this is what we want because I always look better next to a beautiful lady. So we have Rita. You've probably seen Rita. She's one of our streaming people. I'm always excited to have people come out.
Me too.
I popped into
thank
her
you.
show. I tried skirting around the outside of it, and she had none
No,
of it.
no.
So
Come here.
yeah, come here. We
Yes.
want everyone to be seen.
Yes, it's
So-
about, it's exactly about that, like sharing together.
Yes.
But now I'm going to leave the expert to do his thing.
Yeah,
I
well-
came in to say, hola, love you guys, and love you. God
Oh, thank you. Thanks for stopping in.
Good, by the way. How good is he? I'm coming back to give him. Agree with me in comments. How good does he look?
It's all lights.
I've seen him like
and high-end
working
cameras.
out. So no, doing his workouts. We're in there in the gym. I'm like, darn it, he's here now. I'm gonna have to really work out. Oh,
I don't.
so good.
I don't like this part of it. Let's focus on the gemstones, not this. So, so I was saying everyone's seen that picture of the guy holding up the huge meteorite over his head. It's backlit, and you see those slabs. Now that's probably a 300-pound meteorite slab. So all of those little pockets that are lit up, it's natural olivine, and which is what a peridot is olivine. So someone had taken the time to facet those. Now these are extremely small. This is a 12-point stone. It is 0.12 carats. It's a 3.1 millimeter round. But it does come from space. It's something that, it has that really light, almost a chartreuse color, that strong yellowish green. And it is smaller, but this is something that true collector stone. If you have a meteorite specimen, we had sold some, I'm trying to think of the name of the pocket. It's from Namibia. I can't remember what, the Gibeon meteorites. We had sold some Gibeon meteorites earlier in the spring, and they just gone instantly. They're highly collectible, very hard to find anymore. But if you were able to get one of those Gibeon meteorites, this would look wonderful displayed on top of that meteorite because they pair so well together in discovery. So very small stone, but highly collectible. It's not often that you'll meet someone who also has, a faceted palistitic peridot. It's just not something you'll see. And I'll actually post on my Instagram. I can probably find the picture. But when we first got these, I wrote a blog post about it and did a Photoshop about George getting abducted. And when he came back, he just kept talking about space peridot. I was proud of it. I enjoyed it. But these stones really are just one of a kind. They're really gorgeous. And if you know a collector, if you know an August baby who is really into space, this is a great stone for him because it ticks all the boxes. Or just a collector that wants something unique that no one else is going to have, which there's a lot of you out there. There's a lot of collectors who are a little snobbish that they want something that someone else doesn't have. It's very important. There's actually a lot of high-end minerals. The highest end minerals you'll never see a picture of until they're purchased. Because when you show a picture of something that's in the 6 to 7 figures on a mineral specimen, and they do exist, I promise you, it's kind of part of the excitement is you're the one to unveil the picture. When that picture's already out there, someone might not want it because everyone's already seen it. Like you don't get the joy of doing it. So that's pretty big in the mineral world, but we're happy to show you all these gemstones because we want you to be excited about it. We want everyone to be excited about gemstones. It can't just be me and Shane and Charles and the people that work on this gem team. Everybody needs to be excited about them. That's how more people get excited. So on this next one, I know there's like jewelry makers out there. That's a lot of the stuff that we sell ends up going to hobbyist jewelers, which is great because it's affordable. So you can take chances, you can try stuff. It's a natural stone. We're going to give you all the treatment disclosures because sometimes treatment disclosures affect how you might set it in jewelry, what you would set it in. You can see inclusions if it has them, surface reaching inclusions that go near the corners you're not going to want because a prong might break the stone. So with this one, these are all calibrated sizes, the same calibration, and roughly the same carat weight because it's a colored gemstone. There will be some variation in carat weight. And I'm just trying to turn these all so you can see the table come up because that's how it's going to be seen if it is set in a piece of jewelry. But this would make a really nice channel set bracelet. You could make 3 stone rings that almost look invisible set. Now you wouldn't have that channeled edge on the girdle to make it an interlocking invisible set or channel set stone. But it's something that you could make pieces of jewelry out of, little 3-stone rings, 3-stone drop earrings, find calibrated stones the same size in a different color that would match up really nice to it. So these are 6mm princess cuts. It's a set of 15, and it's about 16.30 carats total weight on these. So I'm not great with math, so I'm going to go over here to my phonolator and find out what that is per stone. You can guess in the comments because there's a lot of people smarter than me in the comments that know this stuff. And you're looking at just over a carat per stone on average. Might be a little lower, might be a little bit higher, depending on how deep down that culet is. And as always, I'll show this on the hand. So with this, yes, you could probably do a 3-stone ring with it, but depending on the size of your hand and the size of the ring that you wear, it might just be a 2-stone ring. But they match well enough. Peridot is a stone that it's a lot like garnet, that your saturation isn't going to be too widely different. So on something like this, you should match all the way around. So you could make a ring, pendant, earring set. Or, you know, again, if you know a lot of people with August birthdays, it's great to make them a little piece of jewelry for them that then they can wear. They might have a granddaughter or grandson that has an August birthday. It's just, there's so much stuff you can do with gemstones and make them into jewelry. I'm looking back behind me right now at this little sign that says "Create like Katie." Katie would probably have 1,000 ideas of what she could do with these peridot, because makers see stuff and they instantly know. I'm not a creative. I'm an appreciator. I'm an explainer, but I'm not a creative. I can't figure out, you know, what to do with stuff. It's even like, I know wire wrappers love them, but I'm just carrying around a piece of moldavite. I can't think of anything to do with it. I just have it in my pocket because it's curved and it feels nice in my hand when I just kind of rub it and think about things and worry about things. And it's my own little natural worry stone. But with peridot like this, 16 carats, 15 stones, you can pretty much do anything with it. Nice display piece. You can just kind of just set it on a shelf and enjoy it, look at it, and just love what you're seeing because it's so pleasing to the eye. I mean, you might be going through, you know, a training course of some kind in identifying gemstones. Now you have 15 different gemstones, and you can look for the subtle difference inclusion-wise in what it is. I'm giving you all kinds of possibilities here. We're doing all the hard work for you because, you know, we verified it's peridot. We've identified it, so you can trust that what you got is peridot. And then you'll know to look for like the inclusions that are typical in it, identifying features that are typical in it. And the best part is this is under $100. So really good value. Like, we've only had one other one that was under $100, and it was a 3-carat stone. So to get 15 carats of it for under $100, doing pretty good. So we have one more stone coming up. I need to get my scoop real quick because I'm not going to do like the show earlier. I could just wipe these off with my hand and just push them on the floor, and magic of television, they'll be in the bag when I'm done. But we're not going to do that. And I'm certainly not going to do it with the next stone that I show. You kind of know if you watch some of my shows that I try to give a piece of eye candy at the end of every one. And if you're on jtv.com/extra, you could have already looked to see what this stone is because there's a little shoppable feature down at the bottom where it'll have pictures of the stones as I go to show them. And it has a nice little button that says shop, and you can look to see everything that's in my show because you could think to yourself, this guy doesn't take a breath. I got to get out of here. I don't have time for this on Sunday. You know, all the gold in California sits in some bank in Beverly Hills. You could have that in your head. Yeah, you could be going to see Baby Billy and, you know, Jesse and them to see what's going on. It's a Sunday. You don't want to be sitting watching Tom Joyce all the time. I appreciate that you do, but you might just want to see what's in there and get out of here. So here it is. This is the eye candy for today's show. This is a 25 by 20 oval 54.7 carat peridot. Now, I'm going to let this spin for a second, Shane. I need to check something real quick on my phone pewter because I just want to see one little thing. Because this isn't going to tell me, that just tells me where it was cut. And it was cut in Thailand, if you were wondering. That's another quick explainer, too, if anybody wants to know what our gemstone tags mean, if you order something from us. So on our gemstone tags, you'll see things where it'll say, and I'll pull this up so you can see it. So it says Thailand on there. Now this stone was mined in Burma, which, Myanmar. But it says Thailand on the tag. That whatever country is on the tag is the place that it was last touched, or I don't want to say manipulated, but affected. So since it was cut in Thailand, the rough came from Burma, it was faceted in Thailand, Thailand goes on the tag. So if you see Tanzania, and then, Tanzanite is a one source location, comes from Tanzania, Africa. So when you buy a Tanzanite, named after the country it comes from, and then you get the jar, and on the tag it says India or Thailand, or in the rarest cases when the crystal is so nice they never let it leave the country, if it says Tanzania, it's just where it was cut. That's all it is. So we'll give the disclosure. It's on the website. We always put it in the description where it was mined at, but that's why I had to look up, because I wanted to tell you where it came from. So one thing you're going to see when this stone comes around, and it's kind of subtle, but it's right there, you can see it. You can almost see like a silky look to it, because stones that come from non or atypical regions will have inclusions in them that you don't normally see. Inclusions can be a bad thing if you just want a super clean stone, but they almost, there's a reason that they call certain inclusions a fingerprint, because it's an identifying feature, 100%. There's a reason you get fingerprints of your children when they're young, because it's an identifying feature. They don't really change over time. You can have a scar that'll come into them, but they don't really change. It's the same thing with a gemstone. An internal feature inside of a gemstone can change a little bit, but when you heat corundum, silk can melt away, but you still have things that they call melt relics or broken silk. So you're still seeing that inclusion, and that is an identifying feature to let me know, well, I'm seeing what looks like silk or an exploded crystal or a halo around it. So it lets you know that you do have that stone, but it also lets you know what the treatment is. So there's so many things that inclusions can tell you. I never see them as a bad thing. It's all preference to people. But with this one, I just love the inclusion. And on the little thumbnail, if you are at jtv.com/extra, you can see it on that thumbnail. And when you click on it, it'll take you to the page and see a bigger picture. And you can see those inclusions perfectly. Like, I'm probably going to take this back to my desk, look at it under a microscope, and just love all things that I'm seeing inside this stone. Now, this is a little bit of a higher price point than what we've had out here before. This one runs $16,000, but it is a one of a kind, and that's something you have to think about when you see a stone this large. A lot of times, a peridot crystal, when you see it, is not a big crystal. Almost all of them that I've ever seen are really small. They're not big at all. So, and again, I'm going to plug it again. Justin K. Prim, Gentleman Lapidary. You need to watch that video, because he'll talk about yields. Like, it's common that you're going to lose a certain amount of weight when you cut a piece of rough. He can look at a piece of rough and estimate what he's going to lose. And it's larger than you'd expect. So for something this large, that crystal had to be massive. And as mineral lovers out there, you'll also know that there had to be a conscious decision to say, I don't normally see peridot from Burma, peridot crystal this size. Yeah, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to facet it. One of the things that sticks out to me the most is, this is a picture from years ago, but one of the founders of our company, Bill Counts, had a table full of moldavite rough, and he was grading it and sorting it for faceting. And you could feel the sadness in the comments of that picture of people begging him, please don't facet those stones, because I have a rough piece of moldavite in my pocket. People love rough moldavite, raw in its natural form, because of how it formed. You know, a meteorite came from the sky, hit the ground, immediate impact, formed all this moldavite and blasted it over hundreds of kilometer strewn fields. So how it formed, how it's found, how it feels in your hand, the textures, please don't facet that stone. And I hate to break it to you, he faceted the stones. It's what we had to do, because People want faceted moldavite in jewelry because it's hard to find. You don't see it that often. And that's what we do. We try to provide everybody with things that they want, things they don't know they want, and things that they want even more. So you can find all this stuff on Jadora.com, JTV.com, JTV.com/extra, both on Facebook, Instagram. Follow us everywhere, gemstones.com. Make sure to watch Rita. There's Payton. Everybody is doing these shows. Shane's going to have a show soon. We might sell car parts or radios. Him and Andrew are going to sell guitars. There's no telling what's coming, but there's going to be something for everybody, I promise you. And you just might not know you want it yet, but I'll keep digging. Always in the comments, let me know what you want to see. We have a lot of mineral specimens coming soon, I promise. I'm working really hard to do it. Cave and rock fluorite, Elmwood fluorite. I'm just going to keep talking if someone doesn't cut me off. So have a great Sunday. JTV_Tom Joyce on Instagram. You can find me there. You can find me here tomorrow at noon. So let's just do it. Have a good one.